Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into pre-med internships, how to really nail those interviews.
hmm
And we're using that guide that everyone's talking about.
Right. The one from February on Medium.
Yeah, exactly, that one. But we're going way beyond just the basics, right?
Absolutely. We're going to give you the real insights, the stuff that makes you stand out.
So to kick things off, why even bother with internships? I mean, besides looking good on a resume.
Well, think of it this way. It's like that first real taste of medicine, you know, outside of the textbooks.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can really see if it's the right path. Plus, you pick up all these skills, teamwork, and thinking on your feet, things like that.
Read the hands-on stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's something med school can't really teach you.
So this guide, it starts with that classic question, why a medical internship?
Yeah.
Seems simple, but I bet there's a lot to unpack there.
Oh, definitely. They all say hands-on experience and applying knowledge. And that's good, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But imagine this. You're interviewing for a cardiology lab, and you're, fascinated by how AI is changing diagnostics.
Mm-hmm.
Got to mention that. So you're not just after any internship. You're going for specific experiences.
So it's about being specific.
Yes. So instead of just saying, I want to help people, you're already thinking like a cardiologist.
Okay, that makes sense. So another big one, what do you hope to gain from this internship?
Right. The guide talks about skills and knowledge, which is important, but it's got to go deeper than that.
Okay, how so?
Talk about wanting to understand their culture, how the teams work. It shows you're thinking about fitting in, not just what you'll get out of it.
Right, so it's like I'm ready to be a part of the team from day one.
Exactly. Now, then they'll ask, why this specific hospital?
Mm-hmm.
Now, research is key here, but don't just repeat their website, right?
Yeah.
Let's say they're known for patient advocacy. Connect that back to yourself, and maybe you volunteered at a clinic in an underserved area.
Oh, I like that.
So now you're showing shared values, not just facts.
Yeah, they're looking for fit, not just a resume.
Right.
Okay, things get a little more intense now, with the knowledge-based questions.
Yeah.
The guide goes straight into HIPAA regulations.
Yeah, and for good reason, patient confidentiality is, well, it's everything.
For sure.
But here's where I see a lot of pre-meds stumble.
Okay.
They know what HIPAA is, but can't explain, how it plays out in real life.
Right, right.
So imagine you're shadowing, and a doctor leaves a patient chart open on the computer.
Oh.
What would you do? That's what they want to hear you think through.
Okay, so it's not just about the rules, it's about showing I can apply them ethically.
You got it. And speaking of ethics, the guide also touches on, what to do if you see unethical behavior.
Right. But again, how do we make it real?
Okay, imagine you see a nurse giving medication, but they didn't check the patient's ID bracelet. What do? Stay silent because you're just an intern.
No.
Exactly. This is where your values are really tested.
I mean, reporting it's scary, but I guess that's the point, showing you'll put the patient first.
Yeah, it takes courage. And then there's that question about recent advancements in medical science.
Oh, yeah, AI. Everyone's going to mention AI. How do I stand out there?
Well, you've got to bring in your own research, right?
Yeah.
So let's say the hospital is big on oncology. You connect AI to that, how it's improving cancer detection or treatments.
So it's about showing I'm knowledgeable, but also, I did my homework on them specifically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got the knowledge, Andy. You've done your research.
Okay, feeling more confident already. But I know these are just the initial questions.
Oh, yeah, they're just the warm-up. The interviewers really want to see how you handle the unexpected.
Okay, the curveballs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where those situational questions come in. Those will really put you to the test.
All right, bring it on. All right, so those situational questions, the ones that are kind of designed to make you sweat a little,
Mm-hmm.
the guide starts with how to handle a difficult patient, which, I mean,
Yeah.
that's like every pre-med's worst nightmare.
It's a valid fear. But,
Mhm.
you're not expected to be a therapist or anything.
Right.
The key is showing empathy,
Yeah.
staying professional. Like the guide says, stay calm, listen.
Right, active listening.
But we can take that further, right? What if they're angry about the wait time?
Oh, yeah.
Acknowledge that. Don't just jump into, medical jargon.
Okay, so it's about, connecting with them as a person.
Exactly. Human connection, that's key.
And then there's that one about working under pressure.
Oh, yeah.
The guide uses juggling exams and research.
Which is, pretty relatable.
Yeah.
But let's get even more practical. Imagine you're shadowing, and suddenly they need a patient chart, like right now.
Oh, gosh.
Do you panic? Or do you use your skills to find it quickly?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's pressure.
And they'll watch how you react. Are you cool under fire?
Right, right. Okay, what about this? You're shadowing and a doctor like corrects your work in front of everyone.
Oof. Yeah, that could be tough.
Yeah. The guide says to view it as a learning experience, but how?
Okay, ask clarifying questions. Don't get defensive. Write down the feedback and think about it later.
So it's about like not taking it personally.
Right. It's about the patient. Always.
That's a good point. It's easy to forget that sometimes.
No, there are these questions that can really throw people off.
Okay.
The ones that test your clinical skills, the technical stuff.
Yeah, that's where I start to feel a little out of my depth.
I get it. You haven't even started med school yet.
Right.
But they're not expecting you to be an expert. It's about showing you've got a good foundation and you're ready to learn.
Okay, so the guide emphasizes patient safety.
Right. That's a great place to start.
But what does that even mean when you're mostly observing?
Well, think about it. Even observing, your actions can impact safety.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say there's a spill in a hallway,
Mm-hmm.
but you're rushing to keep up with the doctor.
Do you just ignore it?
No.
Mm-hmm.
You report it, even if it seems small.
So it's about being aware and taking initiative, even if my role is limited.
Yeah, exactly. And what about emergencies? You might not be certified in CPR yet,
Right.
but do you know where the crash cart is?
Mm.
What the code is for a cardiac arrest?
Wow, those are good points. I hadn't even thought about that.
It's not about knowing how to do everything. It's about knowing what to do, who to call.
Right, right. Okay, this one's a little tougher. Seeing blood or injuries, those really intense situations.
Yeah,
The guide says focus on your purpose, stay professional, but honestly,
it's hard.
yeah, it is. I mean, I've volunteered and even the sight of blood makes me, ugh.
It's okay to admit that, don't pretend you're unfazed if you're not.
Right.
But what are your coping mechanisms? Do you take a deep breath? Remind yourself why you're there.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
It's about being honest
Yeah.
and showing you can handle the tough stuff.
It's not about being superhuman. It's about having healthy ways to deal with it all.
Exactly. And then we get to soft skills, teamwork, all that.
Okay, but isn't that kind of like a given?
Sure, everyone says it, but you got to go deeper,
Yeah.
show them you really get it.
How?
Imagine you're on a project with other interns, and there's a disagreement about, the best approach.
Oh, yeah, that'll happen.
Do you shut down? Or do you listen, try to compromise, find a way to move forward?
That's a good point. It's those conflict resolution skills, keeping the team working.
And don't forget stress management. The guide talks about self-care, which is crucial.
But how do you actually do that as a pre-med?
It's about being intentional, right? Maybe it's 30 minutes for a walk, listening to a podcast,
Okay.
or putting your phone away so you can sleep.
Those are things I can actually do. I like that.
It's easy to forget to take care of yourself, but it's important.
It is. It's part of being a good doctor, really.
Right. Now let's get to those ethical questions, the patient care ones.
Those are the ones that make me nervous. Like, what if I say the wrong thing?
Well, there's not always a right answer. It's about how you think it through.
Okay.
The guide starts with a tough one. What if a patient refuses treatment?
Oh, wow. That's hard.
It is. They have the right to refuse, but what if it seems like a bad choice?
Yeah, that's tricky.
It's about understanding why they're refusing. Are they scared, misinformed? Do they have certain beliefs?
So it's not about forcing them. It's about having that conversation, making sure they understand.
Exactly. And let's say they ask for advice that's, beyond your scope as an intern.
Oh, right. Like, I can't diagnose or prescribe anything.
So what do you say?
I guess I explain I'm not qualified to give that advice and, point them to the right person.
Good start.
Yeah.
But remember, they might be feeling all sorts of things. Scared, angry. How do you address that?
Okay, so it's not just about the rules. It's about the emotions, too.
Yeah, that nuance is important. That's what they're looking for, somebody who can handle all that.
Wow. Okay, we covered so much those first questions, then like the real nitty-gritty of, those tough scenarios.
Yeah.
I feel like I could actually handle an interview now.
Good.
But I know this is just one part of being pre-med.
It is.
What else should we be thinking about?
Well, now comes the waiting, right?
The worst part.
It can be. But instead of just, staring at your inbox, use that time.
Okay, how?
Remember we talked about networking?
Mm-hmm.
Now's the time to actually do it.
Okay, reach out to doctors, nurses, people like that.
Exactly.
But what if, I don't know anyone in healthcare?
Don't limit yourself.
Yeah.
Talk to family, friends, professors, even your own doctor.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
You'd be surprised who has a connection.
Right, even a quick chat could be helpful.
Exactly. It might even lead to shadowing.
Oh, speaking of which, that's got to be important, right?
Huge. It's one thing to read about it, it's another to actually see it.
Yeah, for sure.
Try different specialties, even ones you think you're not interested in.
That's a good point. You never know.
And while you're doing all that, start thinking about the big picture.
Okay. The med school application.
Seems far off, but it's good to plan early.
All right, you've convinced me. Any tips for the personal statement? I honestly have no idea where to start.
Think of it like a tapestry, right? Your experiences, your values, all woven together.
Okay.
Why medicine? What makes you stand out? That's what they want to see.
So it's not just listing achievements, it's got to be a story.
Yeah, your story. What challenges did you overcome? What moments made you choose this path?
Wow, I need to journal about all this.
That's a great idea. The writing process itself is valuable. It helps you figure things out.
This is all making so much sense now. The internships, the networking, the personal statement, it all connects.
Exactly. It's not just boxes to check. It's building a foundation.
For a career, but a meaningful one.
Right. And remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh, yeah, I can already tell.
There'll be doubts, setbacks, but if you keep learning, growing,
Right.
you can handle anything.
I love that. It's not about being perfect. It's about being resilient, always learning.
Exactly. Any last questions before we wrap up?
Not really. I think you covered everything, but any final words of wisdom?
As you go through all this, remember, medicine, it's not just a job, it's a privilege.
A privilege.
Yeah, to connect with people, help them, make a real difference.
It's easy to forget that with all the, pressure and competition.
So as you prep for those interviews, those internships, remember why you started.
That passion, that desire to help.
Exactly. Hold on to that.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all this.
My pleasure. We're rooting for all of you out there.
And to all our listeners, we're cheering you on. Keep those applications going. Ace those interviews. You got this.
You're going to be amazing.
We'll be back next week with another deep dive. Until then, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep chasing those dreams.